If Marvel's God of Thunder changed his weapon for a bigger version and shaved his head clean,
please kind sir, do not cut my hair,
then you would get Tariq, the hammer-swinging, lightning-infused hero in the MMO-inspired title Fellowship. So let's do a quick overview on his toolkit and how to utilize all his skills before I can tell you to like and subscribe. Damn it! Why can't I do this? Tariq has a unique timing mechanic and a specific cooldown which both dictate his damage output and behavior in powerful ways. With Fury as a build-up to spend on powerful finishes, we have numerous abilities to fill up this bar and enhance said finishes, but let's start at the basics. Wild Swing is our main filler attack, which sees Tariq, wildly swing his hammer, dealing low damage to all enemies in front of him. Since this is a rather aimless attack, this ability has a high chance to miss, which is not that bad, since once we miss we can use Facebreaker, a strongish single target hit, which also works during our global cooldown, meaning we can use it even though we have already used another ability at the same moment. These attacks are our main spenders between our swing timer, which goes up and indicates when the next auto attack happens. This auto attack can be empowered with Heavy Strike, which can be queued up, meaning if the swing timer ends and the last ability we pressed was Heavy Strike, the next auto attack will be way stronger and also gives us additional fury. This is a rather delicate timing system with an indicated red area at the top, which tells us that once it reaches this bar, we should queue up Heavy Strike. Once the auto attack happens, the bar resets and we start anew, putting in as many skills until the timer is up again. For those who might struggle with hitting this timer, a good way might be to set up a metronome at the right pace, which ticks loudly every time you need to queue up a Heavy Strike until you get used to it. Just a quick tip on my side. Having dealt with the first main mechanic, we can tackle the next one, being Tariq's lightning skills, with Thunder Call activating his inner Pikachu, allowing us to not only use Chain Lightning, a powerful spell, but also enhance some of his abilities with additional lightning strikes. Chain Lightning is one of the top damage spells we have, meaning we should use this whenever it is ready. More on the actual rotation later. It sends out a lightning that ricochets between up to 5 enemies, or, and this is a rather important note, until it deals damage 5 times. Meaning, even if there is only one enemy, we still hit them 5 times with a lightning blast, which gives us a ton of fury to use for the previously teased finishes. Those finishes are 3 in numbers, however one is rather unique, so let's set it aside for later. For groups and therefore AoE damage, we have Hammer Storm, which uses 26 fury initially of our maximum 100, but further drains fury up to a maximum of 50 to swing more times. For single target damage we have Skull Crusher, spending 50 fury, so in both cases it is good or rather necessary to wait until our bar is at least half filled to spend the fury on a finisher. Both of these finishes reset the swing timer, meaning if we use it when the swing timer is going up, it will be immediately dropping to the bottom again. This means to not waste any Heavy Strike potential, we should use those finishes when the timer has already been reset by an auto attack. Otherwise we will lose damage output from having fewer Heavy Strikes. The third finisher doesn't have such a hindrance in resetting the timer, with Culling Strike using at most 20 fury to increase its damage, but it can only be used when the targeted enemy is at 30% health or less. Meaning if we have a ton of fury to spend and we have already queued up a Heavy Strike, we wait for the timer to reset, use Skull Crusher or Hammer Storm, and then we use Culling Strike to not impact the swing timer for the next hit. This whole swing timer concept may feel clunky at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll put out loads of damage in no time. Especially during Thunder Call, since, as mentioned, it not only lets us use Chain Lightning, but rather it empowers our finishes and also our Heavy Strike with additional lightning damage, which means more fury generated before Thunder Call can lead to an enormous amount of damage output. With muscles large enough not only to carry cars but also the responsibility of a valuable member of society, Tariq may seem slow and sluggish, but he actually has a few utility skills which make our fingers go quickly across the keyboard and help out our allies in great ways. First and foremost, we have the typical interrupt skill being Pummel. to stop enemies from using their deadly spells. Then we have a defensive ability which reduces the incoming damage, and of course a movement ability, although while this movement ability is a single jump with a rather long cooldown, it further functions as a strong damaging ability, so don't use this just for movement purposes. His biggest tool to save the day, however, is the skill Intimidate, which fears all enemies around him to run around like headless chickens until they are damaged enough to come out of the stupor. This is an incredibly powerful tool, which is why it has a very long cooldown, so use it wisely. Finishing off the utility skills is Focused Wrath, which solely makes the next two Skull Crushers or Hammer Storms deal 40% more damage and have a 50% reduced fury cost. This is a rather strong cooldown, which should be combined with Thunder Call to make the most of it. The last skill we need to tackle before we look into a possible rotation is of course the Spirit ability, which beefs up Tariq's lightning skills even further. Raging Tempest lets us jump to an area, deal damage there, and for 20 seconds we have an enhanced Thunder Call active, not only unlocking Chain Lightning and powering up a few skills, but further shoots out lightning strikes every second. Every hit this way enhances his expertise stat by 1%, stacking up to 20 times, seeing him become more powerful the longer this ability is active. Now that we've checked out his whole toolkit, how can we utilize it in the right way? A typical rotation for me would look like this. We start out with using Thunder Call to instantly activate Chain Lightning, following up by our Leap Smash to gain some fury. Now we use Wild Swing as many times as possible and use Phase Break whenever we miss with Wild Swing until the swing timer is reaching its peak. Then we queue up Heavy Strike and wait until it has been used to instantly follow it with a Hammer Storm if we have the fury for it, which we definitely have with Focused Wrath, reducing the cost by 50%. Once we've spent a bit of fury, Chain Lightning should be either ready or close to being ready, so we use Wild Swing until Chain Lightning can be used again and fill the swing timer with as many Wild Swings as possible until it is on the top again. Rinse and repeat, although for single target fights we switch out Hammer Storm for Skull Crusher. And that's the general rotation of Tariq, which might vary a bit depending on the situation and of course on your talents and gear. I for one prefer a lightning focused build, which sees my Heavy Strike having a chance to proc a free Chain Lightning, while each Chain Lightning hits 8 times instead of 5. But let me know what your preferred talents are, what you think of Tariq in general and what type of cheese you like the most.